everyone. Mrs. Fells here again with our next installment of The Wild Robot by Peter Brown. We are starting off today on chapter 67 called The Sunrise. By dawn, the bonfire had dwindled to a smoldering hill of ash. Everyone else had gone home, and only Roz and Brightbill remained in the meadow. They lay in the grass together, watching as the soft light of morning crept up from the horizon. And then Roz said, "Let us go for a walk." The robot and the goose hiked and flew up to their favorite spot on the grassy ridge. But then they kept going. They followed the ridge to the mountain and climbed all the way up to the craggy peak just in time to see the sunrise. "I climbed up here once before," said Roz as the sun's first rays warmed her body. "I sat on this very rock, looked out at the island, and thought I would always be alone. But I was wrong." Do you remember when that happened at the beginning? "Are you happy, Ma?" The robot thought for a moment. "I am." "I'm happy too." Brightbill closed his eyes and felt the wind and the sun. There was a slight chill in the air that made him feel alive. Everything seemed just right. And then he heard a distant buzzing sound. The goose squinted to the south and saw a familiar shape in the sky. He turned to his mother and said, "Ma, there's an airship flying this way." What do you think that airship is? Going on to chapter 68, The Ricos. The airship approached from the south like some giant migratory bird. The ship was a sleek white triangle with a single dark window facing forward. 3 identical robots stared out the window. The robots resembled Roz, but they were bigger and bulkier and shinier. The word RECO was lightly etched into each of their torsos. And here's a picture, can you see that, of the airship. Followed by their individual unit number. They were RECO 1, RECO 2, and RECO 3. The Ricos flew in a low circle around the island. They saw a smoking hill of ash. They saw mysterious wooden domes. They saw 4 dead robots scattered across the shore. The airship hovered above the robot gravesite for a moment. Then it floated up over the island and lowered itself onto a small meadow at the foot of the mountain. The engines blasted air toward the ground, bending trees and tearing grass. Then the landing gear sank into the soil. The engines powered down, and all was quiet. A door hummed open, and out stepped the Ricos. They took several long strides into the meadow and stopped. A shadowy figure was lurking at the forest edge. The Ricos turned and faced it. They stood flushed together like a sparkling wall. And then the shadowy figure began to move. Out from the trees walked some sort of 2-legged creature. It was dusty and dirty. Butterflies flitted around the flowers that sprouted from its body. One of its feet was made of wood. Do you know who it is? And then the creature spoke. "Hello, my name is Roz." And here are the 3 Ricos. 1, 2, 3. They do look different than Roz, don't they? They look bigger, They look all put together. The pages are sticking together. Chapter 69, the defective robots. Hello, Rosum, Unit 7134. We are the Ricos. We are here to retrieve all Rosum units. The cold, flat voice came from Rico 1. He and his partners stood absolutely still and kept their glowing eyes locked on their target. There are 4 others, said Roz, but they are dead. We have already located the remains of the other units, said Rico 1. We will collect them later. Now, come with us. The 3 Ricos motioned Roz to the airship, but she didn't move. Where have you come from? The Ricos turned and stared at Roz. Do not ask questions, said Rico 1. Where will you take me? Do not ask questions. Why must I leave? Do not ask questions. I will not go anywhere until I get some answers. There was a brief silence as Rico 1 computed his next move, and then he began to speak. 1 year ago, a cargo ship carrying 500 Rosum units was sunk by a hurricane. 495 units have been retrieved from the ocean floor. We have come here in search of the last 5, and we have located them. Rosum Unit 7134, you are the property of Tech Lab Industries. We will return you to the factory where the makers will refurbish you and sell you for a work site. You will then live on what work site is indefinitely. Now, come with us. But I live here, said Roz. That is incorrect. Rosum Unit 7134. Any further resistance will be proof of your defectiveness, and we will deactivate you. But Roz had more questions. Who are the makers? What is my purpose? Why can I not ask questions? This unit is defective, said Rico 1 to his partners. Commence deactivation. In perfect unison, the Ricos stepped toward Roz. They raised their blocky hands, ready to restrain their target, ready to shut her down with the press of a button. But a loud squawk and a streak of feathers cut them off. Stay away from my mama! Bright Bill swooped into the meadow and started hopping around, ready to defend his mother. The Ricos stopped and looked down at the goose. Of course, they did not understand his words. They only heard meaningless squawks, and then they heard their target squawking back at him. Bright Bill, get out of here, said Roz in the language of the animals. These robots are dangerous. What do they want? They want to take me away. The Ricos stared at their target, trying to understand why she was exchanging noise with a goose. And then new noises began rising up. Rustlings and shrieks echoed from the forest. Animals were gathering. Their wild voices called out to one another. Roz needs our help. Those robots want to take her away. We have to do something. The uproar in the forest grew louder and louder. The Ricos peered past Roz toward the mysterious noises, but only saw foliage. Foliage is like greenery, like the plants. Suddenly, shadows swept across the meadow, and Bright Bill's flock dove onto the Ricos. The geese furiously flapped and pecked and wrapped their wings around the robot faces, clinging to the Ricos like feathery masks, distracting them, blinding them. Bright Bill turned to his mother. Run! And that is the end of the chapter. We will pick up tomorrow with Chapter 70, and the hunt begins. Stay tuned. Bye-bye, third graders.